Everyone knows that FPS games require a high level of aim and mechanics to find success in the genre. Most people overestimate how far you can improve solely on mechanics alone while ignoring every other facet of gameplay such as map knowledge, agent knowledge, game sense, etc. But improving your mechanics has to be one of the most linear ways to improve since the feedback loop is obvious. It's a lot like working out. Number goes up, you're improving. What up guys, my name is Dorshi and today's video we're going to be talking about the Aimer 7 AIM challenge that I took over the past 5 days. I have been using AIM Labs as my go-to aim trainer recently, but I wanted to test out Kovaak since my friend Tammy has been recommending it to me. He also came up with a video summarizing a famous Kovaak's guide written by Aimer 7. After giving the document a read for myself, I was honestly impressed and wanted to give it a shot. So who is Aimer 7? I had never heard of his name before reading this document, and honestly, he seems a bit weird. I think flexing your own IQ being 140 is kinda weird, champ, but that's just me. But I do respect his achievements of having many top tier scores on Kovaak scenarios and being a successful aim coach. On top of this, he's even received a vouch from Sam, who is honestly a gamer god and recently has found success in Valorant with his team Homeless. The amount of sheer effort put into this guide is definitely visible, so I felt I needed to give it a fair test. This guide has many routines for different levels of mechanical skill, and I was personally using the sub-intermediate level routine for about a week. Now, I want to test if the intermediate practice routine is what I should be striving for. Each level of routine is broken down into 3 different versions depending on which parts of your aim you want to work on. Tracking dominated routines, click timing dominated routines, and complete routines. Tracking routines focus on bettering your tracking rather than your ability to click on heads, all about having smooth and accurate strides. Click timing routines are quite the opposite, focusing on your ability to click heads. This includes your flicking and, as mentioned in the name, the timing of when you click. Complete routines will try to find a balance between the 2 categories, and I'm not particularly fond of specializing in a specific area of aiming, so I strictly stick to the complete routines. So for this challenge, I've decided to use the intermediate complete routine. Let's break it down to its individual Kovaak scenarios. Close fast strafes invincible, tracking based. Uphill strafes at random intervals in a 360 degree around you. Fire your gun throughout the whole scenario and try to stay on target at all times. Vertical fast strafes, tracking based. A sphere strafes up and down above you. Fire your gun throughout the whole scenario and stay on target. Tile frenzy 180 strafing 200% tracking. Tracking and click timing based. Multiple boxes strafe horizontally, burst the targets. Bounce 180 tracking. Tracking and click timing based. Multiple balls will bounce around in a courtyard, burst the targets. One wall 5 targets pass you. Click timing based. 5 circles flow around against the wall. Tap the targets. Ground plaza easy, tracking based. A series of pill targets that vary in movement and distance. Burst the targets. Bounce 180, click timing based. Like bounce 180 tracking, but instead of bursting the targets down, just one tap them. Target acquisition flick easy, click timing based. Hover over the Pokeball target. When the other target spawns, kill both in one fluid motion. Ground plaza, tracking based. Basically ground plaza easy, but harder difficulty. Air, tracking based. A series of sphere targets that vary in movement and distance. Also move vertically, burst the targets down. The full routine takes about an hour or so I lowered the reps for some scenarios to try to keep it sub 1 hour for my own personal schedule. After the first day, I could immediately tell that the tracking related exercises were like nothing I've ever done before. They're definitely straining to your arms, especially if your sensitivity is on the lower side. Keeping this in mind, I decided to add 1 to 2 5-minute breaks to let my hands rest. Also, with this being the first day, I made sure to keep my expectations low since this is just the starting point. It's about the progression and not where you start. The second day brought more unwanted arm strain, so I started to add in some hand and wrist stretches during my breaks to help relieve some of the stress. Most of my stretches are from Dr. Levi's channel. He has plenty of videos explaining how to keep your hands healthy for prolonged gaming. Don't be stupid, keep your hands healthy. Day 3 was when I noticed that my ability to process the information of the target's location during the tracking based exercises became way easier. Aimer 7 talks about this in his guide, defining this skill as your reading ability. When you first start the 360-degree tracking scenarios, the amount of movement will just be way too fast to fully process visually, which is a separate process from the physical movements that you make when you're correcting your tracking. So being able to fully understand the movement you're seeing first is the initial step before even practicing the muscle memory. To give an analogy, when you level up your reading skill, it's like upgrading the refresh rate on your monitor. You will be able to see more information that was not previously being produced before. The fourth day was probably the least eventful since my progression felt like it was all over the place. Some of the scenarios I was able to get new high scores like the ground plazas, but on others I would actually decline like target acquisition flicks. The most important lesson learned from day 4 was that it's okay to have days that don't really make any sense when it comes to your progression. It's all about getting your reps in consistently and the progress will show over time. Everybody has off days. Here's a quick rundown for all of my scores for every scenario. Day 5 was actually insane for games. 7 out of the 10 scenarios I either increased my average or high score substantially. Seeing this amount of improvement come out on the last day was actually one of the most gratifying feelings for sure. Tracking all of the data for this challenge was pretty annoying if I'm gonna be honest, and I probably won't keep this up after this challenge, but I do appreciate being able to see my progress in tangible data. Keeping myself to a consistent practice schedule for my mechanics has not only helped my aim, but taught me important lessons to keep yourself motivated throughout the entire process. I will definitely be sticking to the intermediate routine for a while until I get some nasty high scores. If you like this video, make sure to check out my Twitch. I stream 2 to 3 times a week. Thanks and enjoy the rest of your day.